Are you living in your own reality? Well, I'm going to talk to you about that and how it actually is probably keeping you from getting the things that you want in your life. Hi, this is Non-Monogamous Mark, and I'm coming to you from my home in Ventura, California. And I'm this co-founder and CEO or executive director of Ethical and Consensual Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association. And as the co-founder and as non-monogamous Mark, what I do is I help people to stretch and exercise their mental muscle so that they can intentionally design and create the sexually liberated, ethically and consensually non-monogamous lifestyle of their dreams. So that financially, with their health and fitness, with things like their relationships, their love life, and their sex life, it just all starts to come together for them in their life. And so this question about living in your own reality, that applies to, your health. Are you living in the reality of where your health is today and you're not happy with it? It's not good, either your weight or just too many prescription medications. You just don't feel good. Your body is just not able to do the things that you want it to really do. Maybe you'd like to go out and go on a 5 mile hike or a 5 mile run even, and your body's just not able to really do that. Then your health and your fitness is compromised. And the reality is if you're living in the reality of where you're at, that could be keeping you from getting where you want to go with losing weight or becoming healthier or getting off prescription drugs or just, eating better. And so I'll be talking more about that here in a second. Maybe it's not your health, maybe it's your finances. You're just living paycheck to paycheck and you're not really thriving. You don't feel like that from year to year that you're really getting ahead in the way you want to get ahead, because your finances really are a factor and a control of also your time. Do you have all the time in your life that you want in order to do all the things that you really enjoy doing the most? And so if you don't, maybe it's because that your efforts at trying to earn a living and create the life that you have are getting in the way. And that's living in reality, creating the life that you have instead of moving forward to the life that you want. Or maybe it is with your relationships, spending more time with your family, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your close family members. Maybe you'd like to spend more time with your family. And spending more time with your family, your relationships suffer because you just don't have the ability to do that. You're living in the reality of a lack of time and a lack of just connection with your relatives. Or maybe it's not your relatives. In my case, it's certainly not my relatives. Maybe it's just being able to create the friendships of your desires, and the connections with people. And those friendships would be socially as well as for your business and for your career life, so that you can keep progressing forward instead of just being stuck and staying where you're at. And it seems like you're just not thriving. Or then maybe it's just your love life, that you're just not feeling that spark and that engagement that in your life that just brings about all those happy chemicals and happy feelings. And so there you are right now, just going on from day to day in your life and being stuck in that same place. Or maybe it's your sex life. That the best sexual experiences of your life were 10, 20 years ago in your past. And you're not creating new sexual experiences in your life that you could say like, wow, that was amazing. It's like the best sex I've ever had. And so we find that many people are just stuck living in the reality of their life from day to day. So I'm going to teach you a couple principles here. And what I teach these are really universal laws. And I'm not going to get into the spiritual aspects of the law because they work for everybody, whether you are a spiritual person or not. They work the same. Like for instance, the direction that water flows. It doesn't matter if I turn on the faucet or if you turn on the faucet or we fill up a sink or who fills it up. When that water drains out of the sink, it's going to drain out in the same direction and it's going to swirl down through the pipe in the same direction. That's a universal law, and it doesn't matter who it is that turns on the faucet or pulls the plug on the drain. It's going to happen the same time, the same way for everybody the same way. That's a universal law. You know, the laws of gravity. You know, when I throw a ball up in the air, guess what? It's going to happen. The exact same thing that's going to happen would be as if you threw the ball up in the air. You know, sure, you may throw it up a little harder or a little higher or not as high, you know, and so it may take a little longer, fraction of a second longer to come down to the earth. But the end result is always going to be the same. You're going to get the same result that I'm going to get. And so here, with what I'm going to teach you today, you'll get the same results by learning these universal principles, regardless of whether, you know, what your thoughts and your beliefs are, if you actually will take these universal principles and apply them to your life. And so, being stuck in reality, you know, or just, you know, kind of living in your own reality. You know, that's what most of us end up doing in life. We reach a place in our life where we're just living in our own reality. Well, imagine that child that hasn't learned to walk yet. And that child is there then thinking about their own reality. And I am here. I can't walk. I can't do that. That's not who I am. That's not me. All these other people can, but not me. That child would be stuck there forever. But see, as when you were a child, you weren't born being stuck in the place that you are. You weren't born looking at your reality and living in your reality. You were born expanding your reality, going beyond where you are today. And you went beyond where you are today, not by looking and living in your reality, but by looking around you and saying, wow, what do I want to do? And where am I going to expand to next? And you see people talking, and you see people walking, and seeing people running, and all these different things. And then that would go in your head, and it would say, I want to do that. And so when you put that little thought in your head, that's what I want to do. And you, instead of focusing on your reality, you start focusing on what it is that you want to do. And now that you're an adult, you start to lose track and focus of the things that you want to do. You know, that keeps you moving ahead. Oh, you may think, well, I want to take the trash out tomorrow because the garbage man comes tomorrow. I'm not talking about those kinds of things. You may think, well, I want to go on vacation this year because, that's what we do. But really talking about taking and having dreams for your life that where you can look out there and see things that you've never experienced, you've never done before. And you can then have strong wants and desires that yes, that's what I want. Whether it be to double your income this year, or whether it be to increase your income maybe just by a couple $1,000s this year. Or maybe with your finances, maybe with your health. That you would like to just be able to take and lose 10 pounds first. Or you'd like to be able to go on a 1 mile or 2 mile or 5 mile or 10-mile hike. Or with your friendships, your relationships. Instead of just hanging out with the same people, you'd like to have some new friends that actually are going to help to build your life up. And so the point that what I'm saying here is that when you think about the reality that you're at today, most of our energies and most of our thoughts, most of our words, and most of how we feel is really focused on our reality, where we are right now, this moment. But when you focus your words, when you focus your thoughts, when you focus the feelings that you have on that reality, guess what? That's where you end up being stuck. And you get stuck in your reality. And you say, well, I'm just trying to be real about the thing, about my life, I'm a realist, or I don't live in fantasy. I'm not asking you to live in fantasy. But what I am asking you to do is to understand this principle, this concept. Think about how a building gets created. Whether it be a simple building like a doghouse, or whether it be a tree house, or the house that people live in, or a mansion, or a skyscraper, or a whole office park. They start out and somebody sits down and they create, and they say, well, this is kind of what we want to do. Whether it be the house, or whether it be the skyscraper, or whether it be the doghouse. Well, this is what we kind of want to do. And you start to design that out. And you get your design put together, and then you figure out, okay, what are the materials that I'm going to need for that? And so you start thinking, okay, I'm going to want that material. I'm going to want that material. I'm going to want that, this, that, and that. I'm going to want these people to come together and do this. And so you start to create your wants. And then you start focusing on the design that you created, and you start focusing on the things that you want in order to make that building become a reality. And then the building gets built. Instead, if you just focused on the fact that, oh, there's no building here, I'm just going to be real. There's no building. Well, yeah, and as long as you keep focusing on that, guess what? There's not going to be a building. But that building becomes a reality when you start to focus your energies, your thoughts, your words, and your feelings, that you can actually start to feel that building coming together, and it gets to be exciting. So it puts your life in a place of positive energy instead of draining and negative energy. So that's how this works. And if you're focusing on your own reality, guess what? You're not going to get where you want to go. So instead, start placing your thoughts, your feelings, and your words. Start placing those on where you want to go, and spend more time talking and thinking and feeling about where you want to go. Now think of a vacation. You see, once you get that vacation made, and the closer you get to that vacation, can't you just feel how great that feels? That you know you're going to be going on that vacation? Whether it be a camping trip or a trip to Europe, and you start to just feel that vacation. And now the reality is that you're still sitting at home, or you're still sitting at work, or you're still sitting at the gas station putting gas in your car at home. You're not in Europe. You're not on the camping trip. You're not in the Caribbean or on a cruise or wherever that vacation is going to take you to. But yet your feelings start to take you there. And that's the importance of your feelings in this combination, that your feelings need to start to take you to the place that you want to be before you can actually get there. And then that's followed up with the words that you start to speak and the thoughts that you start to think. And again, using that vacation, you start to tell people about it. You start to think about it. And you get closer and closer to then making that actually happening and going. And so whatever it is in your life that you want, with your sex life, you want to have some great sex and not have the best sex of your life be behind you, but instead have that best sex of your life to be in front of you, then create that and put that want out there. And then as you start to think about it, you start to design that. What does that look like to have the best sex of your life in front of you, not behind you? In your future, that you start to think about that. And who's that going to be with? And what's it going to entail? And you start to think about those things. And after a while, you start to move forward with that in that direction. Now, I know as adults, we all too often, we've come up against a failure in our life. And then that failure is always there to remind us that, no, you can't have that. You can't have the things that you want because nobody else does. And you're just going to fail anyway, so why try? Well, and that is exactly what will keep you where you're at. And if you're happy being stuck with where you're at, then good luck to you. I've been there. Believe me, I've been there. And I finally woke up one day and I says, wait a minute. I've got to take charge of my life. And there's some risk involved with that. I remember the day where I had lived for 25 years sexually frustrated in a monogamous relationship. We were virgins when we got married, and sex was just never good. She never liked having sex with me. And we were both miserable. We kept working on it, and it was a struggle for us. We struggled about it for 25 years. And after 25 years, finally I says, I'm just not willing to spend the rest of my life without enjoying. I was, 49 years old. And 49 years old or 47 or somewhere like that, I says, I still got a lot of life ahead of me. I'm not done yet. I'm not over. Life is not over. But I want to have and experience an amazing sex life. And I decided in order to do that, I was going to have to risk the failure of my marriage and having a divorce. And so I finally came to a place where I had that conversation with my wife. I says, I think you should have sex with some other people, and I should try having sex with some other people. Lord knows, we've tried everything else. And so it took us 2 years from that point when I first brought that conversation to her. And yes, she says, we're getting a divorce, but it took us 2 years from that point to finally reach the place where, she says, well, what does this look like? And, how could we do this? How can we make this work? And then for 7 years, we had a great open marriage. And so, the things that you want in your life, you can have them. They're not going to come instantly like tomorrow, just like that building doesn't get built instantly. When I go to the athletic club here in Ventura, and I come out of the club, there's two buildings, big buildings, like 6, 8-story tall buildings out there. They've been, I got here in September, and they were all, the shell was up, the 2x4s, the walls, and outer construction and everything was up. But those buildings, they still don't have a roof on them. They still don't have siding on them. They still don't have sheetrock inside. And so here it is now. Let's see, it's 5 months later, and those buildings are still not occupied and done. You see, and that's where our life is. It's a journey. It's a process. It comes together in small increments. And so give yourself the ability to allow your life, the life of your dreams and desires, to come together in small increments. First, take the time to know what you want and sit down and design your life. You can keep it simple, but then as you start moving forward with things that you want instead of things that you don't want, instead of just being stuck and stuff like that, you actually start moving forward on the things that you want. Guess what? You'll start to have more clarity about the things that you truly want and desire to live your dream life. So thanks a lot, and if you enjoyed this conversation we've had today, then click on that link down below and register on our email list to subscribe to our email list. Because that'll first, when I complete this book that I'm writing right now, then we'll get that sent off to you, a free copy of that when you get on that email list. So I'm only going to be doing that for a couple months, give them away for free. But then, stay in touch with Non-Monogamous Mark and ECNM Lifestyles, and we'll be telling you more about things that are going on. And so click on that link below and stay in touch. Thanks a lot.